Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? It's that time of year. Everyone is doing their year-end lists. This will be part one of my top albums of 2019. This is going to be albums 20 through 11. Albums 10 to 1 will be a separate video. I just wanted to split them up so that they are a little bit shorter, a little easier to watch, and not too long. So, let's get started. A question I get kind of often is what my favorite non-metal albums were, and all of these albums on this list are either death metal or black metal. So I figured I'd share a little something that's not that. My favorite non-metal album of the year, Sturgill Simpson, Sound and Fury. I love this guy. He's an absolute middle finger in the face of the music business. Country artist, but this is the farthest thing that you will ever hear from country while still under the moniker of country, if that makes any sense. My surprise of the year, an album that I did not expect to be any good at all, Memoriam with Requiem for Mankind. Their last album sucked. The one before that, their first album was just okay. This is actually really good. Shell Shock, Undefeated, The Veteran, Fixed Bayonets. I mean, this is the closest we're ever going to get to a new Bolt Thrower album, if you ask me. Surprised the shit out of me with how good it is. Carl Willett's vocals sound infinitely better than they did on the last album. And one honorable mention before I get into my top 20, an album that just narrowly missed it, Nocturnus AD with Paradox, or The Key Part 2, as I like to call it. A worthy follow-up to The Key, which came out in the early 90s. Mike Browning and Nocturnus really nailed that sound. Old school, technical, Floridian death metal, heavy synth action. Really awesome album. Sounds like it came straight out of 1994. Okay, so before I get into my top 20, I just want to remind you all that this is my list. This is all opinion based. Is album number 19 necessarily better than album 20? No, it's an arbitrary ranking. If you don't like this list, if you don't have a problem with it or whatever, make your own. Okay. With that out of the way, album number 20 on my best of 2019. This is Fluids with Exploitative Practices. An absolute punishing album released through Majesty. Fluids has members of Lago, I believe, another death metal band from Texas. Heavy Carcass vibes from the cover as well as the music. Heavy Mortician vibes. Real samples, not samples from horror movies. Absolutely blood-curdling stuff. This is the most unsettling release, I will say, that I've heard in maybe ever. And that's not hyperbole. This actually, at times, makes my skin crawl while listening to it. It's not for the weak of hearts, I will say that. It might not be for everybody, but I think that it was fucking phenomenal. Number 19. This is Cerebral Rot with Odious Descent into Decay. This is the first of many albums that 20 Buck Spin released that will be on my list. They knocked it beyond out of the park, out of the fucking planet with their releases this year, including that of Cerebral Rot. Old school death metal, very heavy Finnish vibes on this one. It fell down to 19 because at times I think it's a little bit sloppy, especially the drumming, but I don't want that to take away from the utter brutality that is unleashed on this album. And if you ever get a chance to see them live, holy fuck. They're a force to be reckoned with live. Cerebral Rot, Odious Descent into Decay, coming in at number 19. Number 18. This is Guards Gastier with Slit Throat Requiem, released by Profound Lore Records. The symphonic black metal record of the year, if you ask me. This is what I wish Emperor still sounded like. very dungeonous, very wide open, kind of symphonic and melodic and harsh all at the same time. This was a really, really fantastic album to listen to all the way through. But, there's a track on here, of Crimson Eyes. I think Chris Bruni of Profound Lore put it the best black metal song of this year, regardless of which record label put it out. He, of course, being of Profound Lore Records. So if you want to start with somewhere, start with that track. If you're trying to get into Guards Gastier with Slit Throat Requiem. Alright, number 17. A veteran act. Nile. This is Vile Nilotic Rites. Everyone knows that Dallas Toller Wade, after being with the band for, I think, 20, maybe over 20 years, left the band. This is their first release since his departure. I was very eager to hear what Nile would come up with, how his departure would affect their sound, and to be honest, it didn't affect their sound at all. Not at all like I was expecting it to, at least, and this is just another brilliant album in their discography. Their best since Ithophalic, if you're asking my opinion. Songs like Vile Nilotic Rites, the title track, Snake Pit Mating Frenzy, just awesome stuff from Nile. I mean, they're not doing anything out of the wheelhouse in terms of what they bring to the table. But, if you think, ancient Egyptian death metal, you think Nile. And that's what they do best. That's what they deliver here on this record. And that's all I ask for from a Nile record. I'm not asking them to reinvent the wheel. I'm just wanting some high-quality, technical death metal with Egyptian themes. And that's what they bring, man. Number 16. Possessed with Revelations of Oblivion. I don't know what I was expecting from this album. After 30 plus years, how could anyone know what to expect? But Jeff Becerra and then his hired guns absolutely nailed that old school death metal sound. Definitely a heavy thrash influence on here as well. This is that Possessed Seven Churches sound, 2019 style. I was blown away by how good this album was, and maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia thrown in there because it is a band like Possessed, but there are really good songs on here. Chant of Oblivion, No More Room in Hell, Shadow Cult, great song. I love the song Graven, might be my favorite track on here. Needless to say, very, very surprised at how good this album was. So it lands at number 16 on my best of 2019 list. Number 15, a band that is probably on everybody's best of list this year. Tumult, Planetary Clairvoyance. This band has just been pumping out music nonstop, and don't let their prolific release acumen speak for itself. Listen to the tunes on here and understand that they're writing really, really good music at an exceptional pace. I love the track Beg for Life, the title track Planetary Clairvoyance, They Grow Inside Part 2, the breakdown at the end of that, everyone knows, everyone loves it. Cerebral Salvation from the tape that they released prior to this included on here. Great artwork, great riffs. I don't need to talk too much about this band. You've already all heard it. Should have been expected, but here we are at number 15. Tumult, Planetary Clairvoyance. Number 14, an album that came out very, very early this year, but stood the test of time as far as this year goes. Ossuarium with Living Tomb. And just another band out of the Pacific Northwest here in the United States, just crushing it. Doomy sounding death metal. I love this album. As soon as I heard it, great band. Tracks like Blaze of Bodies, End of Life Dreams and Visions Part 1, Malicious Equivalence. Really, really solid death doom, if you want to say, maybe more on the death metal side than the death doom side, but definitely some doom influences on here from Ossuarium with Living Tomb. Check that one out. I'm not even going to bother with putting these in the sleeves, it's taking up too much time. Number 13. This is number 13. Just checking myself. Departure Chandelier. This is Antichrist Rise to Power. Self-proclaimed Napoleonic War black metal. This, I don't know if this is cheating, because this album came out in 2019, but it was written back in 2010, I believe. And it's just now seeing the light of day, but so fucking good. One of my absolute favorite black metal releases of the year. Released by Nuclear War Now Productions. I love the synth action on this. It's raw. It's not really, your traditional black metal where it's solely reliant on blast beats and tremolo riffs. There's some actual riffing going on here that accompanied with the synth action. Just overall a total listening experience when it comes to an album that you want to sit down and absolutely soak in. This band from the US doing great stuff. Departure Chandelier with Antichrist Rise to Power. Here I said I wasn't going to put the records in their sleeves, but I can't help it. I gotta. Number 12. Holy shit. Devourment, Obscene Majesty. Oh, what a fucking album. The kings, the forefathers of brutal death metal, slam, if you will. Back with a vengeance. Ruben Rojas back on vocals. The slams are aplenty. The breakdowns are aplenty. The production on this album is fucking perfect. Now that I'm sitting here talking about it, I'm thinking maybe I should have put it a little bit higher, but I don't know. This album, when I first got it, didn't leave my turntable for a week straight. It was the only thing I listened to. So fucking good. Relapse Records put this one out. If you like that brutal style of death metal and you haven't heard this yet, just stop watching this video right now and go listen to this. Devourment, Obscene Majesty. What a fucking album. And the last record for this video, coming in at number 11. This is Fetid with Steeping Corporeal Mess. Just another $20 spin band dropping a massive debut album. Another band from the Pacific Northwest. I mean, this year was the year of $20 spin, and the Pacific Northwest, all those bands fucking killed it. This is just absolutely a grotesque album. Reeks of just sewer grinding death metal goodness. Oh man. Another great live band. If you're able to catch them, I saw them twice this year. Killed it both times. Fetid, Steeping Corporeal Mess, $20 spin. What else do I have to say, really? So there's 20 to 11 plus some honorable mention stuff. Hope you all enjoy this video. Stick around for numbers 10 to 1 in my next video. As always, thanks for sticking around, watching the entirety of this video. If you've gotten this far, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that. And until the next time, take care.